Ari, we have got to be getting nearer the end of my list of pre-orders from last year that were delayed and are all being sent now. I have lost track of what is what, and I really cannot think of anything this could be. You can definitely make out most of that there. Let's just get it open. Look, it is nobody's favourite Marvel characters, the New Gods. This is the collection of their 80s miniseries, which was notable for introducing a few characters or ideas that pay off in Avengers stories, or in this channel's Moby Dick of a story, SeaWorld Attacks. Nice enough cover by Simon Walterson, even though all this dead space here is driving me bonkers. And this one on the back, also by Simon Walterson, would be a much better front cover. This collects New Gods 1 to 12 and Iron Man Annual 6, Avengers 246 to 248, and then the backup stories from What If 23 to 30, which were also reprinted as a one-shot a few years ago that I reviewed. There is one of the Omega Titans. These comics are by different people. The series starts off written by Peter Gilbert, and then he disappears after 8 issues. Maybe Marvel realised he was dreadful, and Simon Walterson finishes it off. The art jumps around too, from John Buscema to Kevin Pollard, and then to Ryan Paul for the final issue. The Avengers issues are written by Roy Sternman, and the What If backup stories are by Marky Mark. Here is a table of contents, as well as an introduction by Peter Gilbert that I'm probably never going to read. He wrote 3 pages of it though. To get off on a good start, we have Marky Mark with his Untold Tales of the Marvel Universe. I have already looked at these and I didn't think they have much appeal to anyone who isn't specifically me. He goes back and fills in some gaps with the New Gods and the Kree peoples, and even slips in a little bit of Khazar mythology. Then we have got 2 that are by Peter Gilbert, completely redundant. They are pointless. Needless continuity inserts for no reason. Trying to establish a connection between the New Gods and the Unhumans. Didn't forget, they are better than the Excellent Men. Then we have an Iron Man annual here. This is when Rhodey Rhodes was Iron Man, so it is a step up from most of the Iron Man comics. Just a shame that it is written by Peter Gilbert. He teams up with the New Gods, and it has a slight bearing on the following miniseries. I'll just quickly say that the paper stock is pathetic again. Then we have 3 issues of The Avengers by Roy Sternman. This story again re-establishes some of the stuff that Marky Mark said in those backup stories, as well as tying in Phineas and other Jim Starman stuff. It is a good story, but it is available in other collections. And here is a subplot with the Flash that got dropped because Christopher Clairvoyant didn't want Roy Sternman writing Mr. Magnets as anything but a saint. And then we are on to the actual miniseries itself. And that box there is why we have that unnatural space on the front cover of this trade. I didn't have much to say about this. I didn't think people have much to say about these characters in general. They were Jack Quimby coming back to Marvel and trying to do something like he did at DC with the Eternals. But he was just given a single series and he wanted to build this whole corner of the universe, but never really had enough page time to appropriately do it. A lot of the characters are recognisable from appearances in other books, but the only one I think anyone would point to as a standout is Big Barda. She ends up being on the Avengers for half a decade, and she is a fun character. We also have Orion, who is about as bland as a protagonist can be. He is meant to be the main one, but doesn't have much character. Light Ray, he ends up getting some more substantial appearances in Marky Mark's Kazar, but he has been remade as a black female version for the film and now in the comics as well. So the second most defined character here has been tossed out the window. My favourite of the New Gods is probably these two, Mark Moonrider on the left and Big Bear on the right. The idea is that Mark Moonrider was born on Apocalypse, and because he is normal looking and not a deformed monster, he thinks that he is the most deformed monster ever. Big Bear also comes from Apocalypse, and despite his appearance, he is a gentle soul. These two are like a pair. They are inverses of each other. Neither of them have really gotten all that much today outside of New Gods comics. Some nice art here by John Buscema. This series introduces us to Gore, who is one of the main baddies in SeaWorld Attacks. In the end, he gets the powers of an Omega Titan, and this is all referred to in SeaWorld Attacks. And the New Gods have to team up with the Avengers to stop them. Sadly, despite Simon Walterson being brought on as a writer at the end, and his art being used in the covers for the first few issues, he doesn't draw the interiors anyway. If there was one writer-artist who I think could bring these characters to life after Jack Quimby, it would be Simon Walterson. He did stuff with Onion at DC and the Eternals. He could have done it with the New Gods for Marvel. Then we are on to extras. We have got some promo stuff from Marvel Age magazine, a preview of the upcoming series. There we have got an outside for both the New Gods and the far more interesting and popular Justice League series by Marky Mark. There's the original artwork for that Simon Walterson cover, which is really, really good. I didn't own the single issue, but if I did, it would be in one of my cover spotlight videos. That is just a perfect cover in my mind, and a perfect cover for a New Gods comic. Here we have got some of John Buscema's pencils and one more here. And there you can see the state of it just from having it open for about 10 minutes. So that is the New Gods, the Dreamin' Omega Titan Saga, some mediocre stuff from the 80s, but the whole thing overall is slightly relevant to SeaWorld Attacks, And as YouTube's leading expert on SeaWorld attacks, this feels right to have in my collection. It is a nice collection to have in a way. I rate everything except the paper quality and maybe the cover choice, which has a massive empty space on it. 7 thumbs up.